Natasha Sprangers-Levine. I am the COO of Strider. We're joined this evening by Tara Swersey, who is our CEO at Strider, and of course, our wonderful guest speaker, Helena Harris of the Stall and Stable podcast and parent company Sparkle and Boom. We are so excited to hear all of Helena's wonderful business planning tips and hear her go through the business planning guide and the sort of ins and outs of what you need to think about for building your barn or horse related business. So Helena, with that, I will, one housekeeping item. We are going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions that come up sort of during the presentation, go ahead and message them to me privately if you want to, or you can message them to the group and I'll just keep track and then we will ask them of Helena at the end. So with that, I will pass it over to you. Thank you so much.
Well, hello, everyone, and thanks for putting your faith in me to talk about horse businesses and how we can help you not just survive, but thrive. Tonight's webinar is going to be about planning, the business planning process, and why it is essential, not just for staying alive, but for staying alive in your business for a really long time and to be happy in your job. You are, at the end of the day, no matter what anybody else says or what you think, you are a professional. If you are taking money in exchange for services or products, you are a professional. And you, as a business owner, as a professional, deserve to be treated as such. And that means creating an environment that that's functional, efficient, and profitable. So that all starts with business planning. I'm going to pull up my presentation and I'm going to use that as a discussion guide. Let me get that here. Slideshow. But I'm not very good at this. So here we go. Okay. Can you guys see that? Can you see that? Okay, good. So planning your horse business. Why is it important? It is the key to your success because having talent and passion is not enough. You can be a great rider. You can talk horses all day long. You can love them, but they're not going to earn you a living that way with just that. Planning is also important for you to identify your personal needs from the business. Work-life balance. I'm sure you guys have all heard that before. What do I want out of the business? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Yes, I love horses. I want to ride. I want to teach. I want to train. But why can't I just have 2 horses in my backyard and compete? So understanding what you want personally out of your business, what's going to fulfill you and what's going to be right for your lifestyle choices and needs. Do you have a family? Are you single and you have lots of time to devote to this? So planning, you're writing a business plan or planning for your business incorporates personal needs and then, of course, financial needs. How much money do you need to make in order to make horses your livelihood? Because you cannot wing it. And I know that a lot of people starting out, they want to open a boarding and training stable and the numbers are scary. They just kind of pull some numbers. What's the barn down the street charging? How much is my hay provider charging per bale? And they just go with it. And they don't really understand what their financial needs are. And then planning or creating a business plan, it creates a roadmap for sustainability. So from the moment you unload that first horse to your farm until 5, 10, 20 years later, this business plan, and it'll change, it'll evolve, but your business plan will take you from that first day all the way through really the time that you're ready to call it quits till you retire. So let's pause this. There we go. Writing a business plan is what you all need to start out with. Define your business on paper first. And it doesn't have to be a big, fancy, super formal business plan, but it does need to be well thought out and well organized because this is going to be the model for your business. Again, this is a roadmap for how you're going to get from point A, unloading that first horse, to point B, where you can sit down in your living room at the end of the day and say, you know what? I had a great day at work. I didn't have to worry about feeding my horses or taking care of them and giving them what they need and making money. Because a lot of horse business owners have that conflict. They need to put X amount of dollars into horse care, into their business, but they can't because that cash flow is not coming in. So by defining your business, laying it out on paper first, you don't ever really have to make those choices between the welfare of your horses and your bottom line. So why do it now? Why do it before you start your business or before you embark on anything? Let's say you are already in business and you have some new ideas. You want to pivot, or you have to pivot because of COVID, or you want to grow. Let's say you only have an outdoor arena and it's time to put in an indoor arena. It's much easier to work on a plan now before you are halfway through a project and you run into a crisis, which is usually I've run out of cash. And then what happens? You run out of cash and you go to get a loan. Nobody, not a bank, not a government lender, investors, no one is going to approve a loan for you if you're already in a crisis. So here's a tip. This is from working in the financial industry. Borrow money before you need it. Okay. Those are your cash reserves. Borrow money before you need it when your business is healthy enough. You want to look long term. You want to look ahead, and the business planning process will help you do that. So as you look ahead, you think about where you might need some financial support, where you might need to get a commercial loan. And then go ahead and take the steps to start getting that money before you actually get to that point in the business where you need it. Business planning, and let's just call it what it is, a business plan. I want you all listening here to write a business plan, whether you're starting out or you're already in business. You can write a business plan at any point. It's never going to be a waste of time. If it does anything, it will prevent burnout. We can handle horse drama, right? We can handle blood. We can handle guts. We can handle temper tantrums from our thoroughbreds. But dealing with business drama and people drama, that's way outside of our comfort zone. The business plan actually functions as like a business coach, like the boss. And it becomes an objective, neutral deciding factor when we run into conflicts in the barn, whether it's conflicts with our customers, our vendors, or even ourselves. If we have to make a business decision and we're not 100% confident, because let's face it, we get tested, our resolve gets tested, our confidence gets tested. Well, when you feel that tension in your business, you can turn to your business plan. You can look at it and say, you know what? When things were quiet and I was thinking things through, I wrote this in my business plan. This is what I want. You can then lean on what your business plan tells you to help resolve that tension, to help resolve that business conflict. So tonight we're going to talk about 4 parts of the business plan. These are the key components when you're writing one. Cover sheet, pretty self-explanatory. Table of contents, statement of purpose, blah, blah, blah. Boring stuff, but you have to do it, right? Here's the good stuff. Detailed business description, a marketing plan, personnel, meaning who's going to be on your team, and your financial data. So the most time consuming, I think, will be detailed business description and your marketing plan. Details, details, details. I love this picture because in the Stall and Stable Business Plan Guide, I created a sample executive summary, which is a part of the business plan. It's the overview of your business. And it comes in the very beginning of the business plan, but you actually write it last because it's a summary of all of the material that you put into your business plan. The sample executive summary that I use in our guide is for a fictitious company, a fictitious barn that I made up when I was feeling creative, called Arched Arabians. And it's a boarding and training stable that specializes in mounted archery. How much fun would that be? Can you tell I want to do it? I want to try it. So the details, fully describing your business means you need to go into great detail about what you're going to offer. Take your time doing this because this is the skeleton of your business. This is what's going to keep you standing upright. So as you're writing things down, include your location, the hours you're going to be open, how many stalls, turnout features, which are a big selling point. If I had to board my horse again, I'd want to know, first and foremost, how much turnout and what kind of turnout my horses would get. That's really important. What kind of fencing? Is your property, do you use electric tape, 3-board, 4-board fencing, split rail? What do you have? Do you have an indoor arena? We all know that's important no matter where you are in the world. We love our indoor arenas. Trail access, what kinds of boarding options you'll have, training services, will you teach lessons? Are you going to do shows and events, camps and clinics, etc.? So you really want to dig into some of these services. So for example, trail access. You might not have an indoor arena, but your barn could open right up onto one of the most beautiful trail systems in your part of the country. That's a profit center, right? You might be doing hunters and jumpers, but having trails right there means that you could create something what I like to call escorted country rides, right? A trail ride's $50, but you take someone on an escorted country ride, that's $125 an hour. Thank you very much. And before we take you out of the ring, you need to buy a package of 12 lessons to make sure that you could canter safely and you know how to do a 1-rein stop. So now you don't have to think of all of these things as you're describing your business, but you want to think of all the ways that you might be able to make money from your business and what people are going to want to, what features they have. Again, as you're writing your business plan, it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be very formal. Put some passion into it. Because who's ever reading this, especially if it's a bank or a lender or a sponsor, then you're going to want to feel your passion. Because your passion is what helps keep your business sustainable. When you love something, you can do it for 22 hours a day. Right? So they want a little bit of that passion. Use photos. Now, it could be photos of something that you have now. It could be photos of your vision for the business. I mean, who wouldn't want a dressage ring like that beautiful green, lovely grass, right? Which probably gets soaking wet for 6 months out of the year, muddy. So don't be afraid to be passionate. Don't be afraid to use photos. Remember that your business plan isn't just for you. It's also to convince, again, lenders, but also potential clients and anybody you want to work with of what your vision is. And then they can get on board with that vision. Marketing. It's really about value. Marketing is such a grossly misunderstood component of business planning. A lot of people think, oh, well, I just need to go up on Facebook and do some posts. I need to go onto Instagram and, put up some pictures, use some filters, make sure my stories are updated on a regular basis. Um, that's just one small part of marketing. Where I come from, I think the most important thing about marketing your business is communicating the value of what you have to offer with your target audience. Value. What do you have that they out there in the horse world need or want? If your product or service solves a problem, meets a specific need, or inspires your customers to take action, that's value. So, an example would be let's say you have a full service luxury boarding stable. I bring my thoroughbred mare there. She's very happy. She's turned out with friends. She's safe. She's comfortable. But I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon. I have a full-time job. I don't know what my schedule is. So I really don't have the time to fully immerse myself in all the horsemanship things that go with riding. I need my horse to be tacked up and ready to go. I just need to get on and ride after work. So time constraints are always a big problem that everybody has. And for some people, they're really important. So if you can offer a level of service that helps alleviate their time crunch, you're solving a problem. That's value, right? Meeting a specific need. How about a farm that specializes in layups or retirements? Low key, you've got a herd of horses, a balanced dynamic. They're great. Someone has a senior horse, or maybe a horse who's leaving his or her home for the first time in a very long time. You can create a really peaceful environment for them. That's meeting a specific need. That's value. Inspiring your customers. And this is another one. There's lots of, we're passionate, right? We're horse people. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to dress our horses up in pink, and we want to put sparkles on their hooves, right? You guys want to do that? Or is that just me? Um, or we want to show. We want to do the meter 20s. We want to ride in FEI level events. Let me go backwards. So are you a competitive trainer? Are you a great coach who can take kids from up down lessons to IHSA? Will you drive 12 hours to go to a rated show? Are you competitive? Are you goal oriented? Can you meet the needs of people who are like you, and can you inspire them to put in the effort to get to these places, to meet their goals? So all of those things, and you have to decide, again, this goes back to, what are your personal needs from the business? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? And that will dictate how your business model creates value. So, value proposition. I don't know if you guys have heard this before. It's a pretty common term in the business world. It's the primary feature of your business that offers value to customers, like I was just saying. That needs to be the focus of your marketing message. Here we are. This is Arched Arabians. We offer mounted archery. We have a barn in Ocala, Florida, and there is no one else even close to us who offers this kind of training, this kind of education. Mounted archery. We're the only ones who do it. And guess what? We've got a barn full of Arabian horses who can do this all day long. If you happen to be a breed fancier, great. Come here. You can ride our horses. You can learn about all the wonderful things that Arabians do. And if you're inspired to try this new discipline, get up in the saddle and we'll give you uh, a bow and some quivers. And I don't even know what the stuff is called. I just made this company up. I was all excited about it. Um, so you put that value front and center in your marketing message, and everything that you do, from social media posts to the words that you choose, to the photos that you choose. These are all satellites from your value proposition. Every little marketing campaign is a satellite from that value prop. So you want to decide what your value proposition is. You may have more than one. You might have two primary features of your business that are unique and worthy. Then you're going to go into competitive analysis. You're going to identify any competitors in your space, whether that's geographic space, in your area. Are you the only barn in your area? Are you one of many? Are you a barn? Are you a trainer who specializes in Western dressage and, a county full of eventing barns? So, who are your competitors? How are you different than they are? And what makes your business unique? For a lot of business owners, what makes their business unique, especially in a cookie cutter world of boarding and training stables, is you, is the energy that you bring into the barn, your vision, your passion, the way you treat your customers. So nobody does you better than you, right? Um, that alone can be a competitive advantage. And you should include that in your competitive analysis when you're writing it. Marketing goals. Yes, you need to have them. And they could be something as simple as, I'm going to start a Facebook page or an Instagram account, and I want 1,000 followers in the first year. Or I want X percentage of engagement on my social channels. Or you might not want to even go with social media. I don't recommend it, but there are some people who are using only their own websites and email marketing because they can control what happens on their own websites. You can't control what happens on social media. We all have to be there. But one of the things that I recommend is that every business owner, every barn owner have at least their own website. 1 to 2 pages if you can't afford more than that. But you want a digital space that you and you alone control. So write down your specific marketing goals and set a budget. 5% of your um, incoming revenue is a good rule of thumb. It might be a little bit high for some startups, but 5% of what you expect your first year's income to be it's a fair rule of thumb on what you should spend marketing. So if you are using Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, spend a couple of bucks to boost the post. It's worth it. And spend the money on your website. Spend it, spend it, spend it, spend it. I promise you. It's a good investment. And if you need advice, if you don't know where to spend your money, call me, email me, shoot me a text message, say, I'm getting ready to plunk down $300, $400, $500. I don't know where to do it. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. So you want to be professional about your marketing strategy. What does that mean? Well, it means that you have to define your brand. What is your brand? Well, it starts out with you. It starts out with your target market. Who are you appealing to? What kind of customers do you want in your barn? This is an important thing to consider when you're sitting down and planning. Because, we've all had that boarder who's like, oh my God, can't she just find someplace else to go? Right? Or a great boarder pays on time, but is very demanding, has to be overly involved in every aspect of her horse's care. Um, and then there's the boarder who just plops their horse in your barn and never shows up again. That's not great either. So understanding what kind of client you want, knowing the needs and the motivations of those clients, you want to build all of that into your brand. Here's an example. Let's say you just love kids. You love kids, you love ponies, you have a family yourself, and you really like to teach. So, a barn full of lesson ponies and camps that you can just see yourself doing that all day long forever and having a lot of fun at it. And it's something that you can involve your family in. Your kids can be a part of this, your cousins, right? Your significant other. So if you're defining a brand that's based around that sort of business model, maybe you want to use bright colors, and the tone of any copy that you write could be really agreeable and easy to digest and simple. On the other hand, let's say you're appealing to highly competitive eventers. You might want a little bit more sophisticated approach to your brand, a really bold logo, a sharp tagline that's clear about what you do and what you offer. So, in your business plan, you want to describe that vision and then what your style is going to be: whimsical and light, sophisticated and serious, whatever it is. Once you decide on a visual brand and a tone, your style, your business's style, stick with it. Find something that you're happy with, and then don't change it. Don't change the color, don't change the size, and use your logo everywhere. That's the way your target market, your clients, your potential clients, that's the way they get to know you. And when you're predictable in how you present your business, that creates confidence. And people are more likely to do business with you when they're confident in you. So be clear visually and in your tone, be consistent in your use of what we call brand assets. An asset could be logo, colors, taglines. And then my favorite secret weapon in marketing is customer service. Not only can customer service be a competitive advantage, it's a great marketing tool, because when you keep your customers happy, you keep them talking about you. So my customers show up to clinics in evening gowns and 1960s polyester dresses and go-go boots. Understanding who your customers are, though, understanding what their needs are, what their motivations are, and then appealing to that. It's a low investment, high yield strategy. It doesn't cost you anything to think about your customers, but the return that you get on meeting their needs, like I said, you're going to create loyalty. You're going to create a strong word of mouth reference. And so it just comes down to quality customer service, right? What that ideal customer, that man or woman who walks in your door, what does she want? What does she need? What kind of horse does she have? What's best for her horse? Talk to her about those things. Listen. I mean, for a lot of people, including me, it's so nice when you meet someone who actually listens to you, who has the presence of mind to look you in the eyes, to smile, and to say, how can we help you? What can we give to you? Now, you're going to have that conversation with a lot of people, and you're not going to be able to meet the needs of most of them. And that's okay. So this is part of the freedom and the responsibility of being the business owner. You get to pick and choose what kind of customer you want for the most part. That's in theory. I know that there are exceptions to that. So understanding your customer and then treating all of your customers equally, no matter how big or small their pocketbooks. Now, it's not something that, is fun to talk about, but I know that you guys have probably seen or experienced this maybe firsthand, is that the well-heeled boarder kind of gets a lot of the attention, the 80-20 rule. 20% of the clients provide 80% of the income. We don't want to work that way. We want to treat all of our customers equally. And, obviously, some people can pay for more services and therefore they're going to get more services. But we don't want to forget the middle of the road customer and even the less financially fortunate customer. We want to make them feel just as important. Why? Well, number one, it's a good thing to do. It's the human thing to do. But also because those who don't have a lot of money to spend on all kinds of services, they can really be wonderful allies in your barn. A lot of them are happy to work. They're happy to promote your business, to give you free marketing and exposure, to share your social media posts so you don't have to pay for them, right? They're your cheerleaders. They're your rah-rahs. And they're happy to do that if you make them feel like they're wanted and they're welcome. And the middle of the road folks, too. Yeah, they've got money to spend, maybe not a whole lot, but the better you make them feel, the deeper into those pockets they will dig. They will remain loyal and they will find ways to spend the money that they probably don't have because they feel so comfortable in your barn or with you, with your business. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. No one does you better than you. So the better service that you can provide your customers, that's going to be a tremendous competitive advantage. And thoughtfulness doesn't cost anything. I'll say, though, that sometimes when our lives are really busy, we've got a barn full of horses, most of them trying to kill themselves, and then we have customers that we're also trying to keep happy. We don't have the mind share to think about or to think ahead. We don't have the mind share to say, what does, Jane Smith need this month? Or what does Joe Smith need this month? So part of writing a business plan creates an efficiency and an organization that will translate into your day-to-day operations so that you're not reactive, that you can be proactive. And part of being proactive is carving out time in your day or your week or your month to think about what you can do for your customers. So planning and organizing buys you the mind share that you need to be a better you, to be a better trainer, business owner, person. That's a good segue into management and personnel. I'm not going to talk about business structures and sole proprietorships and all that stuff because number one, it's outside of my pay grade. And number two, this is where you want to talk to a professional. You want to talk to an attorney or a certified public accountant, CPA. They can help you set up your business structure properly so you're safe, you're legal, you're covered. I do offer some resources and some links at the end of this presentation. There are links that go out to the Small Business Administration website and the federal government's, I think it's employers or employment.gov. There's some really good articles and resources about what you need to consider as a sole proprietor or a small business. But what I do want to talk about in terms of management and personnel is who you hire. And it goes back into this whole customer service thing and a work-life balance. A lot of barn owners wear many hats. We're teaching lessons, we're training horses, we're providing customer service, we're keeping our own books, we're managing our hay deliveries, right? All of these things. And we're marketing. I mean, That's a lot. At some point, you need to delegate and decide, you need help. And it's got to be more than just someone who comes in and mucks your stalls. Yes, we need our stalls cleaned. But as a business owner, even more so as a horse person, every time you put your tushy in the saddle, you want to bring your best tushy to that horse. You want to bring your best self to your clients and to their horses. And so you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So when you're looking to hire somebody or when you're looking to bring on some help, whether it's a working student or paid position, take the time to vet that person very thoroughly. Have them do a trial period. Okay, you can start for 2 weeks and we'll get a feel for how this works. Because you're going to need to delegate tasks to this person, responsibilities, and you need to trust them. And they need to feel like they're a part of your team, that you trust them. So, and I know this is kind of something that we all we overlook. Some of us, not mentioning any names, will pay people under the table, or we have teenagers come in and they work in exchange for lessons, which is all fine. That's part of what we do. It's part of our world. But write this one down. You need a right hand man or woman. You need someone that you can lean on. So vet your employees very, very carefully. And I will also say this is one legal thing I will touch on. If you are thinking about paying people under the table, think again. I know personally of more than a few trainers who got stung by the Department of Labor when the Department of Labor found out that they were paying people under the table. And that's a very, very expensive bill to pay when you get busted. And I know it's hard and I know it's complicated and I know it's intimidating, but one phone call to an accountant can really make things easy. And you'll realize when we get a little bit further into this presentation, and we start working on cash flow, it's not that much more expensive than paying someone cash under the table. An org chart, it's not just for corporations. Why? It really just sets in your mind the reporting structure. You're the business owner, right? Um, if you're lucky enough, you have a barn owner, a barn manager and a trainer. Maybe the trainer, that's all she does. Her job is just to ride, just to school horses, just to train, maybe to coach. And then you have an instructor or two who does tiered lessons. You've got one instructor who does beginner riders, another one who's teaching some novice intermediate riders. Maybe you have a groom or two, a working student who doubles as a groom, and your barn manager and your barn staff. So this is ideal, right? Who wouldn't love an organizational chart like this? You can mix and match these colors, move them around. Business owner and trainer can be one block. Business owner and barn manager can be one block. But be careful when all of the colors start to become one. That's when they get really muddy. Again, it's hard to meet the ideal, but you really don't want business owner, barn manager, and trainer all in one, because you just can't do any one of those things as well as you need to in this industry. So if you own the business and you want to train horses, consider hiring a barn manager. If you love horse keeping, and this is one of my favorite things to do, I love running a barn. I love managing a barn. If I had my own business, a boarding business these days, I would hire a trainer and an instructor. But when you have this chart and you show it to anybody that you hire, or you show it to your investors, your sponsors, the bank you're looking for a loan from, this makes them feel confident. And it also sets a tone of authority. right? So if your barn staff wants to and start drama, well, there's a chain of command, and no one gets to make decisions unilaterally in a barn. They need to go up the chain of command and check in. And also, it's a good idea to have regular meetings with your staff, whoever works for you. If it's just you and someone who mucks your stalls, make sure you carve out time to get together with that person at least once a month. Go over things like, how do you feel? How are things going with your job? Are you comfortable? Do you have the right tools? Do we need new pitchfork heads? Right? I mean, oh my gosh, one of the worst things to do is sweep a barn with a broom that's been worn down to the nubs because your barn manager is too cheap to buy a new broom. So, just having these regular check-in meetings creates a strong camaraderie and then a feedback loop. Right? You're not going to go out and, every time one of your employees has a complaint, you know, the solution isn't always to throw money at it, but just having a forum where you can all talk with one another goes a long way to keeping your barn operating smoothly for a long time. Financial projections, and this is the thing that I used to be really intimidated about. Whether you are starting up a barn or you decided that you want to introduce a new service, let's just say, you're boarding lessons, run of the mill showing type of thing, and now you want to do pony camps. You can do financial projections for your entire business or just for a new product or service that you want to offer. It's basically cash in, cash out. What is the source of your cash? Are you getting a loan? How much? Well, that's what we call loan proceeds. Have you saved up money to put into your business? What are you starting with? In this example, we have $100,000. Okay, so what am I going to do with that 100K when I start my barn? Well, I'm going to buy stall mats and buckets and some fencing, all kinds of things that I want to set up my barn. I'm ballparking $15,000 to do that. Equipment purchase. This could be whatever, a tractor, gators. It could be a horse or two. It could be a lesson horse, right? Deposit on your rent, website marketing, other initial supplies, fly spray, wraps, bandages, and then employees. How much do you plan on paying your employees when you first start your business, that first month? So in total, you plan on spending about $75,000 of the $100,000 you have to start with. So what's left over? 25,000 is your working capital. That is what you bring with you into your cash flow worksheet. So in this example, you see the beginning cash balance is $25,000. That's how you start your business. All right, financial projections. So break-even analysis, this is just an example of why financial projections and cash flow worksheets are important. One of the biggest questions is, okay, I'm going to lease this barn. It's 10 stalls. How much do I charge? I'm the only barn in my area. There's for 20 miles, 30 miles, there are no other horse businesses. What should I charge? Well, that depends on what your costs are. So in your financial projections, it's usually just a little spreadsheet. You're going to list out what things cost, how much you're paying in rent, how much, what your fixed costs are. That's usually fixed costs are costs that don't change, and insurance, truck payments, rent or mortgage. Those are things, fixed costs. Costs of goods sold. How much does it cost you to keep one horse in one stall per month, let's say? How much you pay, how many bags of shavings does that horse require? How much grain or concentrates do they eat? How much hay? Those are considered your costs of goods sold. And then what profit you make. So calculating those numbers will tell you how much you should charge for board. Because, if all those things cost you $300 a month, you don't want to be charging $200 a month for a stall. And then on the other side, maybe you have a barn that is in an area full of other barns, and you pretty much everybody in your area is charging $700, $800 a month. Well, you have to do that too. You can't go in there and charge 1,000 unless you have something that's really unique and worth $1,000 a month. So what you might want to do is use your financial projections spreadsheet to figure out how many stalls you need to fill in order to break even. And then from there, you can decide on filling extra stalls to make a profit, or what kinds of services and add-ons that you want to include in your business to make a profit. Is this good? Am I like tempo and all that stuff? Okay, good.
You're
Because I'm
great.
like in the zone.
You're great. This is smart.
I love this stuff. When years ago, I worked at Myopia Hunt Club up on the North Shore of Boston, and my mentor and coach and boss, Jennifer Hebert, she's an HA Pony Club graduate, and she taught me so much about efficient barn management. And when she first introduced the concept of hay nets to me, I thought she was out of her bloody mind. I was like, Jen, you want me to fill 26 hay nets twice a day? What, And I remember being up in that loft with a scale, weighing the nets so that we knew exactly how much forage each horse was getting. And this is 15 years ago, or 12, yeah, 15 years ago. Um, and where was I going with this? I remember feeling very empowered. It was tedious, and at times it was mundane, but it felt very empowering to do it the right way. And we got really efficient at filling those nets. Um, and it saved us a lot of money. There was no waste, and our horses were healthy. We didn't have the vet come into our barn nearly as often as the other folks. We started turning our horses out at night. The lesson horses, the school horses, they'd all go out at night in groups, big groups. And they were so happy. And they were happy in their jobs, and they were healthy. And so at the end of the day, the time that we spent filling those nets and taking the extra time to do these little tasks ended up saving us a lot of money. And for the first time in pretty much the history of that barn, we were running in the black. And yeah, we were everybody's favorite back then. But we couldn't have done that confidently without looking at the numbers, and that was my job. Um, how much are we spending on employees? How much is our rent? What are we doing what are we paying for hay and shavings? Where can we cut back? Is our cash in this month? It's $25,000, and our cash out is 14. How can we make more money? Can we shave a little off of our marketing expenditures this month? The farrier. Really, do all of our lesson horses need to be shod? Does everybody need 4 shoes? Does everybody need front shoes? So looking at this cash flow worksheet, I recommend once a week. If you're a business owner, sit down, whatever it is, whether it's Sunday morning, Friday morning, Monday morning, have one day to be your business day. I know like some trainers, they have one particular day that's devoted just to training rides. They're not teaching any lessons. They're not dealing with clients. All they do is go into the barn, they tack up and they ride 4, 5, 6, 7, however many horses. You need to do the same thing for your business side. And your cash flow worksheet is a great way for you to keep track of your expenditures, what you spent, your receipts, whether they're paper receipts, you've actually bought something, whether an old school transaction, or you're buying things online. Record all of those transactions, plug them into your spreadsheet. It's really easy. And it'll calculate for you what you've spent that month. Every lesson, every check that you get, every Venmo, every PayPal, log it, import it. If you have some kind of system, if you're using the Strider platform, let's say, and you're getting electronic digital payments, there are ways that you can import all of your transactions. You can pop them right into that spreadsheet and see what's coming in and what's going out, and then make good decisions about where you can make more money or where you can cut back on your expenses. So I talked about keeping track of your receipts. One of the things that I do for receipts is I create a rule, or yeah, it's a rule for your email inbox. You basically just set up it's a little set of instructions that tells your email inbox to send receipts into this particular folder. And again, if you need help, reach out to me. I can quickly show you how to do that on pretty much whatever email program you're using. But then that's easy. You log into your email, you check your receipts folder, and you log the numbers into your cash flow worksheet. So, if you're looking for a business loan or sponsors or private investors, you're going to need to gather some information, some documents. If you're going for a business loan, you're going to need what's called a personal financial statement. And there's a link in this presentation that will take you to, I think, the SCORE website that offers a template. What does a personal financial statement look like? It's basically a list of your assets and your liabilities. How much do you have in your bank account? How much equity do you have in your home? How much do you owe on your mortgage? Things like that. You will need copies of 2 years worth of tax returns, resumes. If you don't have one, make one. It could be short and sweet, but it looks really good when it's part of your business plan package. And anybody who's working for you. Let's say you want to bring in your best friend who's just this great barn manager. Make sure she has a resume, put it on there. Your boarding agreement, any contracts or agreements that you have, include it in your business plan. That's really important. And if you need help writing a boarding agreement, there are lots of resources out there, free resources, but also make sure that a professional looks it over before you open your doors. Your boarding agreement needs to be airtight. It's like anything. Your fence is only as strong as its weakest link. Your boarding agreement is only as strong as its weakest link. So have an attorney take a look at it. And anything else that you have, leases, contracts, agreements, make sure you include those in here because your investors and your sponsors are going to want to see that. And so here's a list of some resources for you. One of the things that, so my business, Sparkle and Boom, is a marketing and communications company. We produce podcasts. I have always, almost, for a very, very long time, I won't say always, for a very long time, I have been in the equestrian industry offering marketing and communication services. I have an advisory board for that business. There is an accountant on it, and she doesn't let me get away with anything. She's forced me to use QuickBooks. But I don't use a payroll service because I'm a sole proprietor and I hire independent contractors for any of the projects that I do. But she recommends outsourced payroll services. One in particular is Gusto. It's really easy to use and it's affordable. QuickBooks is, I like it actually, but it can get kind of complicated and overwhelming. I don't think that you need it necessarily for payroll services, but take a look at it and see. I think it's worth investigating. So, small business startup resources. Throughout the United States, the Small Business Administration has set up what's called SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers, and they're usually in a local university, and they offer free business consulting. Lots of really good stuff. You call, you Google Small Business Development Center near me, they'll give you a phone number and a website. Call them up, make an appointment. It'll probably be a virtual appointment at this point. Um, you talk to a counselor there and tell them what your idea is, and they can actually get you started. They can point you in the right direction. And some of that may be professional services like accounting and legal that's free. So definitely check out your local small business development center. The US Business Administration has a ton of really good, easy to digest articles on not only starting up a business, but managing it. Legal stuff about hiring people. And you're basically just going to see the same thing over and over again. Don't pay people under the table. And if you do pay them above the table, make sure you're paying them minimum wage. And that's fair. That's fair. Financing. Small Business Administration loan programs. Why the Small Business Administration? You can go to your local bank, your business bank, talk to them about a commercial loan. It's a little bit difficult for startups to get bank loans. So what usually happens is startup businesses or businesses that aren't really well known to banks, like the industry, a lot of them don't really understand horses. They'll send you to what's called an SBA intermediary. And that's usually a nonprofit economic development lender who offers loans. The interest rates are a little bit higher than banks, but because they're subsidized by the SBA, you get free business counseling. You basically get a business coach for the life of the loan. It's pretty cool. They also don't just give you a bunch of cash and say, go ahead, make a mess of your life. They do offer some oversight so that they want you to be successful. They want you to pay the loan back, of course, but they really want you to be successful. And so it's a great partnership because they have your best interest in mind. We did a podcast episode on Stall and Stable, episode 11, Financing Your Farm. And there's a lot of really helpful information in there. And it does talk about the different kinds of loan programs that are available. Marketing, Sparkle and Boom, hit me up, Stall and Stable. We offer everything that you could possibly think of, from branding and copywriting to business plan writing. We will sit down and help you write your business plan. It's not cheap, but it is really good. It's really good. I have to say, yes, I'll pat myself on the back. But we also understand the equestrian industry. I have been working in equestrian retail and marketing for a very long time. I spent quite a number of years with Bit of Britain, and did I learn a lot through that, working for that company. Tack of the Day. I don't know if you guys spend your money on Tack of the Day. That was something that I worked every single day on. Every single day. We had these, what we called shirt-a-thons. We would get Horseware or Rambo or Pessoa, or somebody would go, they would have this like 100 shirts that they had to get rid of. And we would literally sell thousands of t-shirts in 1 week. And we would be up almost 24 hours a day just prepping these t-shirts for sale. Because they were, they'd retail for $39, $40, and we were selling them for 12 or 14. So the equestrian marketing is something that we know very well. And the other resource I would like to send you to is Google Drive. It's a free digital service that allows you to have a calendar, use spreadsheets, word processing, all kinds of things that you don't have to pay for, that you can share not only with, you can share things with your clients, you can share things, private things with your staff, and you can use it as a personal administrative tool. And again, it's free. And I think that's it. I want to say thank you to Tara and Natasha for inviting me and having me do this webinar. You can listen to Stall and Stable. That is free. The the mission of the podcast is to help share ideas for happy horse keeping. And that means keeping our horses healthy and happy and comfortable. My personal belief is that our horses are all of our animals, our kids too. They're a reflection of the environment that we create for them. And we want to have good relationships with them. We want to achieve things with them. And in order to do that, we need to take their comfort and their well-being in mind. We kind of have to put that first. And so I hope that Stall and Stable brings some ideas on how we can do that best. Um, you can get it on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, wherever you'd like to listen, or Horse Radio Network. They have an app, and we're on that as well. And if you'd like to reach out to me personally, I would love to hear from you. I love to help people. I love to give you some confidence as you step out into the business world or as you step out into the horse world on your own for the first time. Please feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Helena. That was fantastic. Super, super insights, and you were great. Thank you. We had some questions roll in, so I can sort of read them to you, and we can run through a few of them. I don't want to keep everybody on for too long here, but I think these questions are great. So here I go. So what would you advise as far as payment for someone who periodically assists, like a few hours 3 or 4 times a year? How does paying that person differ from paying someone like a service provider, like a farrier or a vet?
Well, if the person is actually doing work for your business that's contributing to the operation of your business, then you might want to consider hiring them as an independent contractor with a 1099. In that case, you would, yeah, a 1099. But it's the kind of thing that you want to talk to your accountant about. An accountant can tell you exactly what kind of employee they would be. But also, if you go to the links on the personnel resources in this slide under personnel and employer.gov, it will tell you exactly, it'll describe for you exactly what a 1099 or an independent contractor looks like and what an employee looks like. And then, but based on my own personal research, what you're asking a couple of times a year here and there, that sounds more like an independent contractor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not a professional, so you can't take that, don't take that to the grave.
Well, I
Contact
think your
the account.
guidelines were great on that one.
Okay.
And then there was one specific question that I was very intrigued by. So let's say that someone doesn't have to pay to have their website hosted somewhere. Where would you advise that they spend their money on a website? Or even, more generally speaking than that, like what are the key things that you think people should invest their business spend on for their website, for their internet presence, if you will?
Okay. So, well, the first thing that you have to think about is what do people want to know when they're looking for your business? And that's the information you want to put up on your website.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this goes back to who is your target market? Who's going to be looking for you? What's your ideal customer? Are you a boarding stable? If so, then your website needs to have a front and center photos of your facility. What does your turnout look like? What are the features of your farm that would be appealing to your ideal customer? So that has to be really easy to find. Obviously, your contact information, your email address, where they can find you, your hours of operation. And here's something that's important also is what your visitor policy is. Because Tim, one of the things that I absolutely cannot stand is when you walk up to a barn, it's a business, and you're like, I think I might want to board here. And the people inside the barn look at you like, who's this coming down the road? What does she want?
Yeah.
Right? It's not very welcoming. So definitely put what your visitor policy is. Did that answer the question?
I think so. I know that something that we, just to chime in on one little piece of that. I know something that we experience at Strider a lot is talking to our venues and facilities about the photos that they're posting, right? So you said, emphasize that turnout, emphasize the ring, emphasize your assets, if you will. I think quality photography is definitely a worthy investment as well for that.
Oh, God, yes, that's like music to my ears. You don't need to be a professional, but it needs to be sized properly. You don't want to see any images that are stretched or wonky or fuzzy.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just like going into the show ring. You want your boots polished, you want your hair in a net, you want to be tidy and workmanlike. Um, your website needs to, it's a representation of you.
Yeah.
It's a representation of you. So yes, quality photographs is really important. Clarity. And when you're writing copy for your website, it doesn't need to be war and peace. You can be brief, break up your text into small paragraphs, because when people read online, when they read content online, they don't read from left to right. They scan a page vertically. So the first sentence in every paragraph is going to be important. Likewise, if you have features that you want to put up on your website, use bullets. So this content becomes easy to digest and therefore easy to find and influence your users. And then the photos that you choose need to underscore the content. They need to relate. You can't just pick a random picture. It has to actually have meaning, and it creates an impression to the user. And then the next thing that user does is click on the Contact Us button.
Yeah, that's a super answer. And then there was one question that was a little bit more specific. So you discussed, the details that you were highlighting or telling businesses to highlight. What sort of businesses would you, or what sort of details would you suggest that a business that specializes in horse-drawn carriage and wedding horse services
Okay.
or discuss?
So, reliability,
Uh,
right? Reliability. It's one day and you have a very small window of opportunity to get it right. So, the fact that you're going to show up is something that you want to emphasize in your services. Um, the fact that your horse is well behaved and clean. I mean, we don't mind getting dirty, but a bride in white. So, you want to think about what your customer is going to be experiencing when they use that service. What are they going to want to know? How are they going to want to feel when they step up into your carriage? Um, what's the driver like? What's the driver going to be wearing? How flexible are you? Right? If you're doing special events, everybody has their personal brand stamped onto that event. How can you, your business, your service, seamlessly mesh with that person's vision of their event? So working with you, becoming a part of your wedding planning team, we're happy to do orange roses or, you know, uh, black marbles, whatever you want, we're willing to work with you. So, thinking about what the pain points are of your customers and then listing out the services clearly that solve those pain points or that inspire them. Look what we can do with our service that you didn't even know. How awesome are we? We're going to make your day even better. So, solving their problems, listing out your features that solve their problem, and then things that might inspire them. That's kind of what I would focus on.
Those are great. Well, with that, I think that is all the questions that came through. So thank you so much. And to all of our attendees, thank you for joining us. And we will be sending out a recording of the webinar as well as the presentation with all of these helpful links and resources for you. And we will also, Helena will be very kindly offering a special Strider Rewards perk for everyone.
Yes.
Let me speak to that quickly.
Yes. If you go to stallandstable.com, in the top menu, there's a link called Business Help, and there's a drop down menu of some products and services that we offer. The two most, well, there's three really. The business planning guide, which is a 21 or 22 page downloadable document. You get a 20% discount off of that. There's also the financial planning templates, which are awesome. They're plug and play. So they're Microsoft Excel spreadsheets that you download from the website, and they're all set up with calculations and basic expenses that a boarding and training stable would incur. And you can just plug in your numbers and you can see how many lessons do I need to teach, and what's my rent if I'm leasing a barn that's $2,000 a month or a barn that's $5,000 a month. How much income can I make? And you can use those either to play around with or to actually set up your income projections on it. So that is also up there. And then I offer consulting services by the hour, either in person at your farm or virtually by Zoom. Right now, I'm only traveling in Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Hopefully, when we're all vaccinated, I'll be traveling further than that. But I do have the virtual consulting sessions. And so if you're, as an attendee here, you get a 20% discount if you use code Strider20.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. That's very generous. And thank you, everyone, for coming. And we hope to see you at our next professional development installment. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helena.